The gleaming black Range Rover skidded on the dirt road, spraying dust and mud everywhere. The chickens at Sunrise Farm scattered in panic as the luxury car came to an abrupt stop right in the middle of the chicken coop, destroying 3 fences and startling half the county. "What the hell?" shouted Mia Thompson, 28, owner of the small farm in rural Texas. Her brown hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and her work boots were still muddy from the barn. The car door opened, and out stepped a tall man in an impeccable Italian suit, talking on his cell phone as if nothing had happened. "Yes, I canceled the 3 o'clock meeting. No, I don't care if they flew in from London specifically for this," said Cole Blackwood, 32, CEO of the largest real estate development company on the East Coast. His blue eyes barely glanced at the destruction around him. Mia marched toward him furious. "Hey, you just destroyed my property!" Cole held up a finger, asking her to wait, still talking on the phone. "Buy the land anyway. Double the offer if necessary." "Excuse me?" Mia couldn't believe the arrogance. "You destroyed my fence." Cole finally hung up the phone and looked at her as if she were an inconvenient insect. "Listen, farm girl, I need you to get your—" He looked around with disdain. "Creatures out of here. I just bought this land and you're trespassing on my property." "Your property?" Mia laughed incredulously. "Mr. Expensive Suit, this farm has belonged to my family for 3 generations. Not anymore?" Cole pulled some papers from his suit's inner pocket. "I just acquired 500 acres here, including this quaint little place. You have 30 days to move out." Mia looked at the documents, her face paling. It was true. Someone had sold the land surrounding her farm, leaving her completely surrounded. "This is impossible. Nobody told me anything." "Bureaucracy isn't my problem." Cole put the papers back. "I'm going to build a luxury resort here. Your chickens definitely aren't part of the decorative plan." Mia felt anger rising like a hot wave. She looked to the side and saw a basket of eggs she had collected earlier. Without thinking twice, she grabbed one and hurled it with all her strength. Splat! The egg hit Cole right in the middle of his forehead, dripping down his face and staining his $3,000 suit. You threw an egg at me?" Cole was in shock, wiping the sticky egg white from his face. "And it was rotten," Mia lied, grabbing another egg. "Want to bet the next one hits your arrogant mouth?" Cole backed away, still incredulous. "You're completely insane. And you're a stuck-up playboy who's never worked a day in his life." Mia advanced with the second egg. "Now get off my property before I call my neighbor Jake with his shotgun." Cole practically ran to his car, slipping in the mud. "You're going to regret this. Nobody treats Cole Blackwood like this." "Cole Blackwood?" Mia burst out laughing. "What a ridiculous name. Sounds like a villain from a cheap movie." The Range Rover sped away, throwing more mud everywhere. Mia stood in the middle of the destruction, still holding the second egg when reality hit. She had just thrown a rotten egg at the most powerful man in American real estate. And strangely, it was the most satisfying thing she had done in years. 3 hours later, at the most expensive hotel in town, Cole was in the shower for the 3rd time, still trying to get the egg smell out of his hair, when his assistant Marcus knocked on the door. "Mr. Blackwood, the lawyers are here." "Let them in." Cole came out of the bathroom wearing a hotel robe. "I want that rural terrorist sued for assault." But when he looked at himself in the mirror, something strange happened. For a second, instead of anger, he felt admiration. No one had ever confronted Cole Blackwood like that, and the fire in that woman's eyes. "Sir?" Marcus interrupted him. "Actually," Cole hesitated. "Cancel the lawyers." "Sir?" Cole smiled for the first time in months. A crazy idea was forming in his mind. "Marcus, I want you to find out everything about Mia Thompson. Everything. And then, we're going to pay our neighbor a little visit." If she wanted a war, Cole Blackwood was more than willing to accept the challenge. After all, he had never lost a battle in his life. And this time, the prize seemed much more interesting than just another piece of land. The next morning at Sunrise Farm, Mia was feeding her chickens when she heard the rumble of an engine. Her heart sank as she recognized the sound of that expensive car. Through the morning mist, she could see the black Range Rover approaching, but this time it was moving slowly and carefully down her driveway. "Oh, great. Prince Charming is back," she muttered, wiping her hands on her jeans. But when Cole stepped out of the car, Mia had to do a double take. Gone, was the pristine Italian suit. Instead, he wore faded jeans, work boots, and a plain white t-shirt that somehow made his blue eyes even more striking. His usually perfectly styled hair was slightly messy, and he had a sheepish smile on his face. "Before you reach for any eggs," Cole called out, holding up his hands in surrender. "I come in peace. What do you want now, Blackwood?" Mia kept her distance, arms crossed defensively. "I wanted to apologize for yesterday." He gestured toward the destroyed fence. "And to fix what I broke." Mia blinked in surprise. "You... what?" "I brought tools." Cole pointed to the back of his SUV, which was loaded with lumber, wire fencing, and a toolkit that looked like it had never been used. "I figured it was the least I could do." "You've got to be kidding me." Mia laughed, but it wasn't entirely unfriendly. "Mr. CEO is going to fix my chicken fence? How hard can it be?" Cole shrugged with overconfidence that would have been charming if Mia didn't know better. 2 hours later, Cole was sprawled on the ground, tangled in chicken wire, while Mia sat on a hay bale trying not to laugh too hard. "Need some help there, city boy," she called out. "I've got it under control," Cole grunted, struggling to free his shirt from the wire. "This is just more complex than my usual construction projects." "Your usual construction projects probably don't involve Martha Stewart over there giving you the stink eye." Mia pointed to a particularly judgmental-looking hen who was watching Cole's efforts with obvious disdain. Cole finally freed himself and stood up, bits of hay in his hair and dirt smudged across his cheek. "Is it just me? Or do your chickens have attitude problems?" "They're excellent judges of character," Mia said with a grin. "Martha Stewart there once chased off a raccoon twice her size." Despite herself, Mia found herself warming up to this version of Cole. There was something endearing about watching the powerful CEO struggle with basic farm tasks. "Here, let me show you," she said, getting up from the hay bale. "You have to approach it from this angle." As Mia demonstrated the proper technique, Cole found himself less interested in the fence and more fascinated by the way she moved with such confidence and grace around the farm. Her cheeks were flushed from the morning air, and when she concentrated, she bit her lower lip in a way that was surprisingly distracting. "Are you even paying attention?" Mia asked, catching him staring. "Absolutely," Cole lied. "Wire, angle. Martha Stewart has trust issues." Mia shook her head but couldn't hide her smile. "You're hopeless." They worked in companionable silence for a while, and gradually the fence began to take shape. Cole was surprised to find that he actually enjoyed the physical work, even if he was terrible at it. "So," Mia said as they took a water break, "what's the real reason you're here? Because I'm pretty sure billionaire CEOs don't usually spend their Saturday mornings playing farmer." Cole took a long drink of water, considering his answer. "Honestly, I haven't been able to stop thinking about yesterday. No one's ever stood up to me like that." "Maybe because you're usually surrounded by people who depend on your money," Mia said bluntly. "Ouch," Cole winced. "But probably true. My world is full of yes men and board meetings. Yesterday was the first time in years someone called me out on my behavior and threw a rotten egg at your head," Mia added helpfully. "It wasn't actually rotten, was it?" Cole asked suspiciously. Mia's innocent expression didn't fool him for a second. "I have no idea what you're talking about." As the afternoon wore on, they managed to repair most of the damage. Cole was covered in dirt and sweat, but he looked more relaxed than Mia had seen him. "I have a confession," he said as they admired their handiwork. "I've never actually built anything with my hands before." "I never would have guessed," Mia said dryly, looking at the slightly crooked fence posts. "Hey, it's functional," Cole protested. "If by functional you mean it would keep in very polite chickens who don't really want to escape anyway, then yes." Cole laughed, a genuine sound that transformed his whole face. "You know, I can't remember the last time someone was this honest with me. Must be refreshing," Mia said, but her tone was gentler now. "It is." Cole looked at her seriously. "Mia, about the resort project." "Don't." Mia's walls went back up instantly. "Don't pretend this morning changed anything. You're still planning to bulldoze my farm." "Actually, I'm not sure I am anymore." The words hung in the air between them. Mia stared at him, searching his face for signs of deception. "What's that supposed to mean?" Before Cole could answer, a truck pulled up the driveway. A tall, ruggedly handsome man in his 30s got out, his eyes immediately focusing on Cole with obvious suspicion. "Mia, everything okay here?" the newcomer asked, his voice carrying a protective edge. "Jake, this is Cole Blackwood." Mia said, suddenly feeling awkward. "Cole, this is my neighbor Jake Morrison." Jake's expression darkened. "The guy who's trying to steal your farm." The easy atmosphere of the morning evaporated instantly. Cole straightened up, his business persona sliding back into place like armor. "I'm not stealing anything," Cole said coolly. "I legally purchased the surrounding property." Same difference. Jake moved closer to Mia. "Mia, you don't have to deal with this alone. You know I'll help however I can." Mia caught the subtle emphasis on "however" and felt her cheeks warm. Jake had made his feelings clear more than once, and while she cared about him as a friend and neighbor, she'd never felt that spark. But looking between Jake's protective stance and Cole's suddenly shuttered expression, she realized the morning's tentative progress had just taken a major step backward. "I should go," Cole said abruptly, gathering his tools. "The fence should hold for now." "Cole, wait," Mia started, but he was already walking toward his car. "Thanks for the lesson in fence repair," he called over his shoulder. "It was educational." As the Range Rover disappeared down the driveway, Jake put a protective hand on Mia's shoulder. "I don't trust him, Mia. Men like that don't change." Mia watched the dust settle and found herself wondering if Jake was right. But she couldn't shake the memory of Cole's genuine laughter, or the way he'd looked at her when he thought she wasn't watching. Maybe some men didn't change. But what if this one could? 1 week later, Mia hadn't seen Cole since the fence incident, but she'd certainly heard about him. According to town gossip, the mysterious billionaire had been asking questions about her all over Pine Ridge. Mrs. Henderson at the general store reported he'd bought every gardening magazine they had. Tommy at the hardware store swore Cole had purchased enough chicken feed to last a decade. And Betty from the diner claimed he'd ordered takeout every night, always asking if they delivered to farms. "He's clearly planning something," her best friend Rebecca said during their weekly coffee date at Pine Ridge Diner. "Rich guys don't just disappear quietly." "Maybe he gave up and went back to New York," Mia said, though she didn't sound convinced. "Honey, you've checked that driveway 17 times since we sat down. You're worried about him." "I'm not worried," Mia protested. "I'm cautious." "There's a difference." Rebecca raised an eyebrow. "Right. And I suppose you wore your good jeans and actual makeup today by complete coincidence." Before Mia could deny it, the diner's front door chimed. Instead of Cole, Jake walked in, his expression troubled. "Mia, we need to talk," he said, sliding into the booth next to her. "It's about your city boy." "He's not my—" "He bought the Henderson's place," Jake interrupted. "Cash offer, 20% above asking price. Closed yesterday." Mia felt her stomach drop. The Henderson farm bordered her property on the east side. Why would he do that? Same reason he bought all the other land, I imagine. He's boxing you in completely now. Rebecca whistled low. "That's some serious power move." "It gets worse," Jake continued. "I heard from my cousin who works construction that Blackwood's bringing in a crew next week. Heavy machinery, the works." Mia stared out the diner window toward her farm, feeling walls closing in from all sides. Just when she'd started to think maybe Cole was different, he'd proven Jake right. Men like Cole Blackwood didn't change. "I should have known," she murmured. That evening at Sunrise Farm, Mia was closing up the chicken coop when she heard vehicles approaching. Multiple vehicles. She turned to see a convoy of trucks coming down her driveway, led by Cole's familiar Range Rover. Her heart pounded as she marched toward the approaching vehicles, ready for another confrontation. But when the trucks parked and people began getting out, Mia stopped in confusion. These weren't construction workers. They were families, couples with children, elderly people, teenagers, all carrying baskets and blankets and folding chairs. Cole got out of his car, but instead of a suit, he wore jeans and a simple button-down shirt. He looked nervous, running his hands through his hair as he approached her. "Before you say anything," he began, "this isn't what it looks like." "What exactly does it look like?" Mia asked, bewildered. "Like I'm crazy," Cole admitted. "Which I might be." Behind him, the group was setting up what appeared to be a picnic area in her front yard. Someone had brought a portable generator and was stringing lights between her fence posts. Children were chasing each other around while adults arranged food on makeshift tables. "Cole, what is this?" "It's a town meeting," he said. "About the resort project. I figured since it affects everyone should have a say." Mrs. Henderson, an elderly woman Mia had known her whole life, came over carrying a casserole dish. "Mia, dear, that young man of yours invited the whole town. Said he wanted to hear what we all thought about his plans." He's not my—" Mia started automatically, then gave up. "Mrs. Henderson, what plans?" "Oh, he didn't tell you." The older woman looked delighted. "He's scrapping the resort idea entirely. Says he wants to build something the community actually needs." Mia turned to stare at Cole, who was looking increasingly uncomfortable. "You're scrapping the resort?" "I've been thinking about what you said," Cole replied. "About being surrounded by yes-men. So I decided to ask people what they actually wanted instead of assuming I knew better." More townspeople were arriving now, and Mia recognized faces from all over Pine Ridge. The mayor, the school principal, local business owners, farmers, families she'd known her entire life. "Ladies and gentlemen," Cole called out, his voice carrying that familiar authority, but tempered with something new, humility. "Thank you all for coming. I know this is unusual, but I wanted to discuss my development plans openly." He cleared his throat, glancing at Mia before continuing. "Originally, I intended to build a luxury resort here, but after spending time in your community, I realized that's not what Pine Ridge needs." A murmur went through the crowd. Jake, who had arrived with several other neighbors, crossed his arms skeptically. "So, what are you proposing instead?" asked Mayor Thompson. No relation to Mia, despite the shared name. Cole pulled out a tablet and showed them architectural drawings. A community center with a medical clinic, a library branch, and meeting spaces. There'd also be a farmer's market pavilion and a small business incubator to help local entrepreneurs. The crowd fell silent as people absorbed this information. It was exactly what Pine Ridge had needed for years, but could never afford. "The medical clinic would be staffed twice a week initially," Cole continued, "with the goal of expanding to full-time as the community grows. The library would be connected to the county system, and the business incubator would provide low-interest loans and mentorship for anyone wanting to start or expand a local business." Mrs. Henderson clapped her hands together. "Oh my, that sounds wonderful. We haven't had a proper doctor in town since Dr. Peterson retired." "What's the catch?" Jake asked suspiciously. "Nothing comes free, especially from guys like you." Cole met his gaze steadily. "No catch. I'm funding the entire project, including an endowment for ongoing operations. The only condition is that the community has to want it." "Why would you do this?" Mia asked quietly, though her voice carried in the suddenly still evening air. Cole looked directly at her, and his carefully constructed business persona slipped completely. "Because a very smart woman once told me I was surrounded by yes-men and had never worked a day in my life. She was right. I've spent years building things nobody really needed, just because I could. For once, I'd like to build something that matters." The crowd began talking among themselves, excitement building as people discussed the possibilities. But Mia only had eyes for Cole, seeing him clearly for perhaps the first time. "And my farm?" she asked. "Stays exactly where it is," Cole said firmly. "In fact, I was hoping you might consider supplying eggs and produce to the community center's cafe. If you're interested." Jake stepped forward, his expression still distrustful. "How do we know you won't change your mind?" "Rich guys make promises all the time." "Because I'll be staying to see it through," Cole replied. "I bought the Henderson place. I'm moving to Pine Ridge permanently." This announcement sent another ripple through the crowd, but Mia felt like the ground had shifted beneath her feet. "You're moving here? Permanently?" Cole's eyes never left hers. "Turns out I like small-town life more than I expected, especially the neighbors." As the evening progressed, the impromptu town meeting turned into a genuine celebration. People shared food, children played in the yard, and for the first time in months, Mia felt hope instead of dread when she thought about the future. She found Cole later, sitting alone on her porch steps while the party continued around them. "That was quite a gesture," she said, settling beside him. "I told you I was probably crazy. The good kind of crazy, though." Mia smiled. "I can't believe you're giving up millions of dollars in resort profits for a community center." Cole shrugged. "Money's just numbers on a screen after a while. This feels real." They sat in comfortable silence, watching families pack up their dishes and children chase fireflies in the growing dusk. "Cole," Mia said finally. "Yeah? Thank you. For listening. For caring about what the town actually needs." He turned to look at her, and in the soft glow of the string lights, his expression was more open than she'd ever seen it. "Thank you for throwing that egg," he said seriously. "Best thing that ever happened to me." Mia laughed. But before she could respond, Jake appeared on the porch. "Mia, I'm heading out," he said, his tone carefully neutral. "Mr. Blackwood, I owe you an apology. What you're doing for the town, it's good, real good." Cole stood and extended his hand. "Jake, right? Mia's told me you've been a good friend to her. I respect that." Jake shook his hand, but Mia caught the way his eyes lingered on her face. "She deserves good friends," Jake said meaningfully. "People who'll stick around." After Jake left, Mia and Cole remained on the porch as the last of the townspeople departed, leaving them alone with the gentle sounds of the Texas evening. "So," Mia said, "you're really staying?" "If the town votes yes on the project, then yes. I'm really staying." "And if they vote no?" Cole was quiet for a long moment. "Then I guess I'll have to find another way to convince a certain farm owner that I'm worth keeping around." Mia felt her heart skip, but before she could respond, Cole stood up. "I should let you get some rest. Tomorrow's another big day." "What's tomorrow?" Cole grinned, and for the first time since she'd met him, it looked completely natural. "Tomorrow I start learning how to be a proper neighbor, and I believe someone promised to teach me the right way to collect eggs without getting attacked by Martha Stewart." As he walked to his car, Mia called after him. "Cole?" He turned back. "Welcome to Pine Ridge." His smile could have powered the whole town. 3 weeks later, the town had voted unanimously in favor of Cole's community center project, and Pine Ridge was buzzing with an energy Mia hadn't felt since she was a child. Construction crews worked alongside local volunteers, the sound of hammers and laughter filling the air from dawn to dusk. But the biggest change wasn't the building rising on the horizon. It was Cole himself. "Okay, slow and steady," Mia instructed as Cole approached Henrietta, her most temperamental hen. "She can sense fear, so try to look confident." "I'm a billionaire CEO," Cole muttered, eyeing the chicken warily. "I shouldn't be intimidated by something that weighs 3 pounds. "Tell that to Henrietta," Mia grinned. "She once made the mail carrier cry." Cole had been coming to the farm every morning for 2 weeks, determined to learn everything about farm life. What had started as egg collecting lessons had expanded to feeding routines, basic veterinary care, and even mucking out the small barn. He was terrible at most of it, but his determination was endearing. "There," Cole said triumphantly, as he successfully retrieved an egg without incident. "I'm getting better, right? You only got pecked twice today," Mia said encouragingly. "That's definite progress." They worked in comfortable silence for a while, and Mia found herself stealing glances at Cole. Gone was the uptight businessman she'd first met. This version of Cole had dirt under his fingernails, hay in his hair, and a genuine smile that made her heart do funny things. "Can I ask you something?" Cole said as they finished up. "Shoot." "Why farming? I've seen your college degree hanging in the kitchen. Agricultural business from Texas A&M, summa cum laude. You could have done anything." Mia leaned against the fence, considering her answer. "My grandmother used to say that farming was about faith. You plant seeds not knowing if the weather will cooperate, if the soil will be right, if 100 different things might go wrong. But you do it anyway, because you believe in the possibility of growth." Cole stopped what he was doing, giving her his full attention. "After my parents died in that car accident when I was 22, I needed that faith," Mia continued. "The farm gave me purpose, connection to something bigger than myself. It's not just about the eggs or the vegetables. It's about nurturing life." "I'm sorry," Cole said softly, "about your parents. That must have been incredibly hard." "It was, but the farm saved me. This place, this community, they became my family." Cole was quiet for a moment, then surprised her by saying, "I never had that growing up." "What do you mean?" "My parents, they weren't bad people, but they were never really present. Always traveling, always working. I was raised by nannies and boarding schools. Success was the only thing that mattered in the Blackwood family." Mia felt a pang of sympathy. "That sounds lonely." It was. "I think that's why I became so focused on acquiring things. Land, companies, properties. I was trying to build something permanent, something that couldn't leave me. But things aren't the same as people," Mia said gently. "No, they're not." Cole looked at her meaningfully. "I'm starting to understand the difference. Before the moment could become too heavy, Cole's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and frowned. "Problem?" Mia asked. "My business partner in New York. He's been calling all week." Cole hesitated. "Actually, there's something I need to tell you. My company is facing some challenges." Mia felt a chill of unease. "What kind of challenges?" "The kind that might require me to return to New York. Temporarily," he added quickly, "just to sort things out." "How temporarily?" Cole's expression was troubled. "I don't know. Could be weeks, could be months." The easy comfort of the morning evaporated. Mia turned away, busying herself with organizing tools that didn't need organizing. "Mia, it's fine," she said, not looking at him. "You have responsibilities. I understand." "Do you?" Cole moved closer. "Because I'm not sure I do. 6 months ago, if my company needed me, I wouldn't have hesitated. But now what? Now I have something here I don't want to lose." Mia's heart jumped, but she forced herself to stay practical. "Cole, you barely know me. We've been, whatever this is, for a few weeks. Your whole life is in New York." "Was in New York," Cole corrected. Past tense. "Is it though? When push comes to shove, when your empire needs saving, are you really going to choose a small-town farm over everything you've built?" The question hung between them like a challenge. Cole reached for her hand, but she stepped back. "I should get inside," Mia said. "I have things to do." As she walked toward the house, Cole called after her. "Mia, this doesn't change anything between us." She paused at the porch steps but didn't turn around. "Doesn't it?" That evening at the Henderson place, Cole stood in the empty house he'd bought, surrounded by boxes he hadn't unpacked. The place felt hollow without furniture, without life. Kind of like how he'd felt for most of his adult life, he realized. His phone sat on the kitchen counter, showing 17 missed calls from his business partner, Marcus. Finally, he picked it up and dialed. "Cole, thank God," Marcus answered immediately. "Where have you been? I've been trying to reach you for days." "I've been busy." "What's the crisis this time?" "The crisis is that our biggest investor is pulling out. The Singapore deal fell through, and the board is talking about a hostile takeover. We need you back here now." Cole closed his eyes. Everything he'd built over 15 years was potentially crumbling, and he was playing farmer in Texas. "How bad is it really, Marcus?" "Bad enough that, if you don't get back here within the week, Blackwood Development might not exist in 6 months." After hanging up, Cole sat in the empty kitchen and thought about choices. 6 months ago, this wouldn't have been a choice at all. The company was everything, worth any sacrifice. But 6 months ago, he hadn't met a woman who threw eggs at billionaires and made him want to be better than he was. His phone buzzed with a text from Mia. "Hope everything works out in New York. The chickens will miss you." No mention of whether she would miss him. Cole stared at the message, then typed and deleted a dozen responses before finally sending, "I'm not leaving." Her reply came back quickly. "Your company needs you. You need me more," he typed, then deleted it. Too presumptuous. "The community center needs you." He tried next. Delete. Finally, he settled on, "We need to talk." But there was no response. The next morning at Sunrise Farm, Mia was surprised to find Cole waiting for her by the chicken coop, looking like he hadn't slept. But instead of his usual jeans and t-shirt, he was wearing a suit again. Not the expensive Italian one from their first meeting, but a simpler business suit that somehow looked more serious. "You're dressed up," she observed, her heart sinking. "I'm catching a flight to New York this afternoon." There it was, the inevitable choice, and she hadn't been selected. "I see." Mia kept her voice carefully neutral. "Well, good luck with everything." "Mia, let me explain." "You don't need to explain anything, Cole. This was always temporary, right? You said so yourself. You came here to build a resort that fell through, so now you're going back to your real life. It makes perfect sense." "Would you stop being so damn understanding for 5 minutes?" Cole snapped, then immediately looked contrite. "Sorry, I'm not handling this well." "How should you be handling it?" Cole ran his hands through his hair, messing up his carefully styled look. "I should be telling you that I'm coming back, that this isn't goodbye. It's just a pause." "And are you? Coming back?" "I don't know," he admitted. "I want to, more than I've ever wanted anything. But I built that company from nothing, Mia. It's not just my livelihood. It's dozens of employees, their families, their futures. I can't just let it collapse." Mia nodded. understanding but still hurting. I know, and I wouldn't ask you to. But I also can't put my life on hold waiting to see if you choose me over your empire. I've been abandoned before, Cole. I won't survive it again. The words hit Cole like a physical blow. Mia, I would never… Abandon me? You're doing it right now. Her voice was quiet but steady. Maybe not intentionally, maybe not permanently, but you're still doing it. Cole wanted to argue, but he couldn't find the words. From her perspective, he was leaving when things got difficult, just like everyone else in her life had left. What if I asked you to come with me? He said suddenly. Mia laughed, but there was no humor in it. To New York? Cole, I can't just abandon my farm, my animals, my life here. This is who I am, and New York is who I am. They stared at each other across an impossible divide, both understanding that they were asking the other to give up everything they were. I guess we're at an impasse, Mia said finally. Cole checked his watch. If he was going to make his flight, he needed to leave soon. But walking away from Mia felt like tearing out a piece of his soul. This isn't over, he said desperately. Isn't it? Mia's smile was sad but resolute. Have a safe flight, Cole. I hope you save your company. As he walked to his car, Cole turned back one more time. Mia was already heading into the chicken coop, her shoulders set in a determined line that he'd come to know meant she'd made up her mind about something. Driving away from Sunrise Farm felt like the hardest thing Cole had ever done. But as Pine Ridge disappeared in his rearview mirror, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was making the biggest mistake of his life. That evening, Mia sat on her porch with a cup of tea, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and gold. The Henderson place was dark now, Cole's temporary presence already feeling like a dream. Her phone buzzed with a text from Rebecca. Heard he left. You okay? Mia typed back. I'm fine. It was always going to end this way. But as she sat alone with her chickens settling in for the night, Mia wondered if she'd just made the biggest mistake of her life by letting him go without a fight. Maybe some things were worth the risk of faith, even when you couldn't see the outcome. Maybe especially then. 2 months later, New York City. Cole stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his corner office, looking out at the Manhattan skyline without really seeing it. The city that had once energized him now felt like a concrete prison. He'd saved Blackwood Development. The hostile takeover had been defeated, new investors secured, and the company was stronger than ever. He should have felt triumphant. Instead, he felt empty. The Singapore team is ready for the video conference, Marcus announced from the doorway. And your 3 o'clock move to 4:30. Cancel it, Cole said, without turning around. Cancel the Singapore deal? Cole, that's a $200 million project. Cancel everything. Cole finally turned from, I'm taking a leave of absence. Marcus stared at him like he'd announced plans to join the circus. A what? Cole, you don't take leaves of absence. You barely take weekends. I'm taking one now. Cole moved to his desk and began shutting down his computer. You're in charge until further notice. This is about that farm girl, isn't it? Marcus shook his head. Cole, I know you think you fell in love or whatever, but this is your life, your real life. You can't just throw it away for some fantasy about small-town living. Cole stopped packing his briefcase and looked at his business partner, the man who'd been his closest friend for over a decade. Marcus, when's the last time you saw me really happy? Happy? I don't know, man. The Yamamoto deal went through last month. You seemed pretty pleased about that. Pleased about a deal. Not happy. There's a difference. Cole sat on the edge of his desk. For 8 weeks in Texas, I was happy. Actually, genuinely happy. I woke up looking forward to the day. I laughed until my stomach hurt. I cared about something other than profit margins. So take a vacation, Marcus suggested. Go to the Bahamas, clear your head, then come back refreshed. It's not about needing a vacation. It's about needing a life that means something. Marcus was quiet for a moment, then sighed. She really got to you, didn't she? She really did. Cole smiled for the first time in weeks. Marcus, I spent 32 years building walls around myself, convincing myself that success was enough. But Mia, she made me want to tear down every single wall. And if she doesn't want you back? Cole's smile faltered slightly. Then at least I'll know I tried. That same day, Pine Ridge, Texas. Mia was in the middle of afternoon chores when Rebecca burst into the chicken coop, practically vibrating with excitement. You need to see this, Rebecca panted, waving her phone. Right now. Can it wait? I'm trying to… Cole Blackwood just resigned as CEO of his company. Mia dropped the feed bucket. He what? It's all over the business news. Billionaire CEO steps down to pursue personal interests. There are rumors he's having some kind of breakdown. Mia's heart was racing, but she forced herself to stay calm. That doesn't have anything to do with me. Mia Thompson, don't you dare pretend you haven't been miserable for 2 months. You barely eat, you barely sleep, and I caught you talking to that chicken like it was a therapist. Martha Stewart is a good listener, Mia said defensively. The man gave up his empire. What more proof do you need that he cares about you? Proof that he's coming back, Mia said quietly. Rebecca, he chose his company before. Who's to say he won't choose something else next time? Another crisis, another opportunity, another reason why New York is more important than Pine Ridge. Rebecca grabbed her friend's shoulders. Honey, sometimes you have to take a leap of faith. I took a leap of faith. I let myself care about him. And he left. He left to save his company so he could come back to you. Did he tell you that? Because he sure didn't tell me. Before Rebecca could respond, they heard the sound of multiple vehicles approaching. Through the chicken coop window, they could see a small convoy pulling up the driveway. Not just cars, but news vans. Oh no, Mia breathed. They rushed outside to find reporters setting up cameras and a well-dressed woman with a microphone approaching the house. Ms. Thompson, Jennifer Walsh, Channel 7 News. Can you comment on your relationship with Cole Blackwood? Is it true that you're the reason he left his billion-dollar company? What? Mia stared at the reporter in shock. No comment. You all need to leave. This is private property. More reporters swarmed toward her, shouting questions. How long have you been dating Mr. Blackwood? Did you know he was planning to resign? What can you tell us about his mental state? I said no comment. Mia backed toward her house, feeling overwhelmed and trapped. That's when she heard the familiar rumble of a Range Rover engine cutting through the chaos. Her heart stopped as Cole's black SUV pushed through the crowd of news vans and parked right in front of her porch. Cole got out of the car, and Mia's breath caught. He looked tired, thinner than when he'd left, but his eyes found hers immediately across the crowd of reporters. Mr. Blackwood! Mr. Blackwood! The reporters surged toward him, but Cole ignored them completely, walking directly to Mia. We need to talk, he said simply. Cole, Ms. Thompson, can you confirm that you and Mr. Blackwood are romantically involved? A reporter shouted. Cole turned to face the cameras, his expression shifting into the commanding presence she remembered from their first meeting. I'll give you all the story you want, he announced. But first, you're going to give Ms. Thompson and me some privacy. Anyone still on this property in 5 minutes will be dealing with my legal team. The authority in his voice sent the reporters scrambling back to their vans. Within minutes, the driveway was clear except for Cole and Mia, standing facing each other in the sudden silence. You came back, Mia said, her voice barely above a whisper. I told you this wasn't over. But your company is in Marcus's capable hands. Turns out I'm not as indispensable as I thought. Cole stepped closer. Mia, I need to tell you something. I'm not just back for a visit, I'm back for good. I bought a house in town, not the Henderson place. Something smaller, more permanent. I'm starting a new company here focused on sustainable community development. Mia felt tears threatening. Cole, you can't just uproot your entire life for me. I'm not doing it for you, Cole said, then quickly added, I mean I am, but not just for you. I'm doing it for me too. Mia, I was dying in New York. Successful, wealthy, and completely dead inside. You brought me back to life. What if this is just another phase? What if you get bored with small-town life? Cole reached into his jacket and pulled out a small velvet box. Mia's eyes widened. Cole, what are you? I'm not proposing, he said quickly, seeing her panic. Not yet. This is something else. He opened the box to reveal not a diamond ring, but a simple silver band with a small engraving. It says, Faith, Cole explained. You told me once that farming was about faith, planting seeds without knowing if they'll grow. I want to plant seeds with you, Mia. In the garden, in the community, in our lives together. I want to have faith that what we're building will grow into something beautiful. Mia took the ring with shaking hands, reading the inscription through her tears. I'm scared, she admitted. I'm terrified of trusting this, of trusting you, of trusting that you won't leave again when things get complicated. I'm scared too, Cole said honestly. I've never done this before. Put someone else first. Made my life about more than just success. But I'd rather be scared with you than successful without you. The reporters are going to make our lives crazy, Mia said, looking toward the road where news vans were still parked. Probably, Cole agreed. But we'll face it together, and eventually they'll get bored and find someone else to follow around. Mia looked at the ring again, then at Cole's face. Open, vulnerable, hopeful. Taking a deep breath, she slipped the ring onto her right hand. Faith, she said softly. Faith, Cole agreed, reaching for her hands. As he pulled her closer, Mia felt the last of her walls crumbling. Maybe love was like farming after all, an act of faith, a willingness to plant seeds without guarantees, trusting that with enough care and patience, something beautiful would grow. So what happens now? She asked. Cole smiled, the same genuine smile that had changed everything that day on her porch. Now we go feed your chickens. I've been away for 2 months. Martha Stewart probably has a lot to say to me. Mia laughed, the sound bright and free in the Texas afternoon. Oh, she definitely does. She's been holding a grudge. As they walked toward the chicken coop hand in hand, Cole said, By the way, I brought you something from New York. What? The best chicken feed money can buy. I figured it was time I contributed something useful around here. Cole Blackwood, I think I might actually be falling in love with you. He stopped walking and turned to face her, his expression serious but warm. Mia Thompson, I know I'm falling in love with you. I fell the moment you threw that egg at my head. This time, when he kissed her, there were no interruptions, no reasons to hold back, no fears about the future. There was just Cole and Mia, and the promise of all the tomorrows they would build together. From the chicken coop, Martha Stewart clucked approvingly. Even she seemed to think the billionaire might be worth keeping around after all. 1 year later, the Pine Ridge Community Center was buzzing with activity as the town prepared for its first annual Harvest Festival. What had started as Cole's vision was now the beating heart of the community. The medical clinic had served over 500 patients, the library hosted weekly reading circles, and the business incubator had helped launch 8 new local enterprises. But today, the center was hosting something even more special. Mia, you need to see this, Rebecca called from across the main hall, where she was hanging decorations. Your fiancé is giving an interview to that reporter from Austin. Mia looked up from arranging sunflowers at the registration table. The engagement ring Cole had officially given her 3 months ago catching the light. Through the large windows, she could see Cole talking animatedly to a journalist, gesturing toward the bustling festival preparations. The key to successful community development isn't imposing your vision, Cole was saying as Mia approached. It's listening to what the community actually needs and finding creative ways to provide it. The Pine Ridge model has become a template we're now implementing in rural communities across 3 states. And personally, Mr. Blackwood, the reporter asked, how has this dramatic life change affected you? Cole's eyes found Mia through the window, and his professional demeanor softened into the warm smile she'd come to love. Personally, it's been the best decision I've ever made. I spent years acquiring things that never made me happy. Now I've found someone worth building a life around. The reporter followed his gaze and spotted Mia. Is that your fiancé? The famous farm owner who threw an egg at you? The very one, Cole grinned. And before you ask, yes, she still keeps me in line. Just last week she made me restart a fence repair because my corners weren't square enough. Mia laughed and waved at the camera, no longer bothered by the occasional media attention. The novelty of the billionaire and the farm girl story had mostly worn off, though their love story still made headlines in business magazines as an example of successful lifestyle transitions. The wedding is next month, I understand, the reporter continued. October 15th, right here at the community center, Cole confirmed. Mia insisted on having it where our story really began, with the community that brought us together. After the interview, Cole joined Mia inside the center, wrapping his arms around her from behind as she continued arranging flowers. How's the festival prep going? He asked, pressing a kiss to her temple. Good, except Jake's having a crisis about the barbecue setup. Mrs. Henderson is convinced we don't have enough pie, and Martha Stewart escaped again and is terrorizing the kindergartners. I'll handle Martha Stewart, Cole said solemnly. We have an understanding now. It was true. Over the past year, Cole had not only learned to handle Mia's chickens, but had become genuinely fond of them. He'd even built them an elaborate new coop with automatic feeders and climate control, much to Mia's amused exasperation. "Any word from Marcus?" Mia asked. "He's flying in tonight with the New York crew. Still can't believe I went native, as he puts it, but he's excited to see what we've built here." Cole's former business partner had taken over Blackwood Development completely and was thriving in the role. The two men had maintained their friendship, with Marcus visiting Pine Ridge several times and Cole occasionally consulting on major deals. It was proof that Cole's old life and new life didn't have to be mutually exclusive. "Speaking of building," Cole said, producing a tablet from his jacket, "I have something to show you." The screen displayed architectural renderings of a beautiful farmhouse, clearly the Sunrise Farm property, but expanded and modernized while maintaining its rustic charm. "Cole, what is this?" "Our house," he said, looking nervous for the first time in months. "I mean, if you want it to be. I know you love the original farmhouse, but I thought maybe we could expand it, create space for the family we talked about." Mia stared at the designs, her heart swelling. The renderings showed a larger kitchen perfect for hosting family dinners, a sunroom overlooking the pastures, a nursery with windows facing the sunrise, and a wraparound porch where they could watch their children play in the yard. "You want to expand the farm?" she asked, her voice thick with emotion. "I want to expand our life together. The egg business is booming, by the way. 3 more restaurants in Austin want to carry your free-range eggs, and I was thinking we could add some goats. Maybe start making cheese." "Goats?" Mia laughed through her tears. "A year ago you were afraid of chickens." "A year ago I was afraid of everything that mattered," Cole corrected. "Now I want it all. The farm, the animals, the chaos, the early mornings, the community potluck dinners, the school plays our kids will be in someday. I want the whole beautiful, messy, wonderful life." Before Mia could respond, a commotion outside caught their attention. Through the windows, they could see Jake chasing Martha Stewart across the festival grounds while a group of children cheered him on. "I should probably help," Cole sighed. "Wait," Mia caught his arm. "The house designs, they're perfect. Yes to all of it. The expansion, the goats, the beautiful, messy life." Cole's face lit up like Christmas morning. "Really? Really. But first, go save Jake from Martha Stewart. She's probably still holding that grudge about the fence repairs." As Cole jogged outside to help corral the runaway chicken, Mia watched through the window and marveled at how much had changed. A year ago, she'd been facing the loss of her farm, feeling alone and defeated. Now she was surrounded by a thriving community, planning a wedding to the love of her life, and dreaming about the future they'd build together. "Mia," Rebecca appeared at her elbow. "The caterers need to know about the vegetarian options, and someone needs to test the sound system for tomorrow's speeches." "On it," Mia said, but she took one more moment to watch Cole outside. He'd successfully cornered Martha Stewart and was now gently carrying the indignant hen back toward the festival area, talking to her in soothing tones. Several children had gathered around him, fascinated by the sight of the former billionaire CEO having a serious conversation with a chicken. "This is my life now," Mia thought with deep contentment. "This wonderful, crazy, perfect life." The next evening, Harvest Festival. The Pine Ridge Community Center was transformed into a magical autumn wonderland. String lights twinkled overhead, hay bales served as seating areas, and the air was filled with the scents of barbecue, apple pie, and crisp October air. The entire town had turned out, along with visitors from neighboring communities who'd heard about Pine Ridge's remarkable transformation. Mia stood at the edge of the celebration, wearing a flowing sundress and cowboy boots, watching Cole give a speech about the community center's first-year achievements. He looked completely at home at the podium, but instead of the aggressive confidence he'd once wielded in boardrooms, there was a warmth and authenticity that drew people in. "None of this would have been possible without the faith and support of this incredible community," Cole was saying. "You welcomed a stranger, forgave his mistakes, and taught him what really matters in life. Thank you for giving me a home." The crowd erupted in applause, and Cole's eyes found Mia in the crowd. His smile was radiant, full of love and gratitude and hope for the future. "There's one more thing," Cole continued as the applause died down. "As many of you know, Mia and I are getting married next month. But what you don't know is that she's agreed to let me expand Sunrise Farm. We're going to add goats." The crowd laughed and cheered, especially the children who were already planning visits to see the future goats. But seriously, Cole's voice became tender. Mia Thompson took a scared, arrogant man and taught him how to have faith in himself, in love, in the possibility of building something beautiful. She saved my life in every way that counts. Mia felt tears threatening as Cole left the podium and made his way through the crowd to her. "Dance with me?" he asked, extending his hand as the local band struck up a slow country ballad. They swayed together under the string lights, surrounded by their community, their family. Mayor Thompson spun his wife nearby. Jake danced with his new girlfriend, a teacher from the next town over. Mrs. Henderson was teaching some of the teenagers a traditional two-step, and Rebecca was taking pictures of everything. "Any regrets?" Mia asked softly, looking up at Cole. "About what?" "Giving up your empire for a small-town farm girl who throws eggs at people." Cole pretended to consider this seriously. "Well, the stock options were pretty good. And I did have a corner office with an amazing view." Mia swatted his chest playfully. "But," Cole continued, his voice warm with love, "I'd rather have 60 years of you throwing eggs at me than 60 years of board meetings without you." "I promise to only throw eggs in emergencies," Mia said solemnly. "Define emergency. When you get too cocky about your fence-building skills." "Fair enough." As the song ended, Cole spun Mia once more, then dipped her dramatically, earning cheers from their audience. When he pulled her back up, both of them were laughing. "I love you, Mia Thompson," he said, not caring who heard. "I love you too, Cole Blackwood, even if you did nearly destroy my chicken coop on our first meeting. Best mistake I ever made." "Second best," Mia corrected. "The best mistake was thinking that egg was rotten." Cole threw back his head and laughed, the sound carrying across the festival grounds and mixing with the music, the chatter of friends, and the gentle lowing of cattle in the distance. As the night wound down and people began to drift home, Cole and Mia found themselves sitting on the community center steps, watching the cleanup crew, which was basically half the town, put everything back in order. "So," Cole said, taking Mia's hand and playing with her engagement ring, 3 weeks until the wedding, having second thoughts about marrying the guy who tried to steal your farm?" "Are you kidding?" Mia leaned against his shoulder. "I've been planning this wedding since the day you fixed my fence. Badly. I've gotten better at fence repair. You've gotten better at a lot of things." Cole was quiet for a moment, then said, "Sometimes I can't believe this is real. That I found you, that you gave me a chance, that I get to wake up every morning knowing I'm exactly where I belong." "Believe it," Mia said firmly, "because you're stuck with me now, Blackwood. Me and my chickens and my stubborn streak and my tendency to throw eggs when provoked. Promise?" "Promise." As they sat together under the Texas stars, surrounded by the community they'd helped build and the love they'd fought for, both Cole and Mia knew that their greatest adventure was just beginning. There would be challenges ahead, expanding the farm, growing their business, raising the children they both wanted, dealing with Martha Stewart's continued attitude problems, but they'd face it all together. After all, the best things in life were worth having a little faith in, and sometimes, just sometimes, the most beautiful love stories began with someone brave enough to throw an egg at exactly the right moment. The end.